Is there some tension between free speech on college campuses and disciplining students for calls of genocide?
Yes, there's certainly a tension. And I think, first of all, I think free speech is incredibly important. And I'm a lot closer to absolutism on free speech than otherwise. The issue I had was the hypocrisy, right? They were restricting other kinds of speech on campus, principally conservative speech, conservative views. So it wasn't a free speech absolutist campus. And the protests were actually quite threatening to students. And there are limits to even absolutist free speech. And they begin where people feel, intimidation, harassment, and, threat to bodily harm, et cetera. That kind of speech is generally, and again, it's pretty technical, but as people feel like they're in imminent harm by virtue of the protest, that speech is at risk of not meeting the standards for free speech. But Harvard is a private corporation. And as a private corporation, they can put on what restrictions they want. And Harvard had introduced only a few months before bullying and harassment policies. And that's why Representative Stefanik focused on, it's not like she said, it's calling for genocide against the Jews violate your free speech policies. She says it's calling for genocide against the Jews violate your policies on bullying and harassment. And I think everyone looked at this when they said, it depends on the context. And they said, look, if you replace Jews with some other ethnic group, students who've used the N-word, for example, have been thrown off campus or suspended. Students who've, hate speech directed at LGBTQ people has led to disciplinary action. But, attacking, spitting on Jewish students or, kind of roughing them up a bit seemed like, or calling for their elimination didn't seem to violate the policies. So it's, look, I think a university should be a place where you have broad views and open viewpoints and broad discussion. But it should also be a place where students don't feel threatened going to class, where their learning is not interrupted, when final exams are not interrupted by people coming in and with loud protest. Students asked me when I went up there, what would you do if you were Harvard president? I said, and this was before I knew what was happening on the Dartmouth campus. I said, I'd convene everyone together. This is Harvard. We have access to the best minds in the world. Let's have a better understanding of the history. Let's understand the backdrop. Let's focus on solutions. Let's bring Arab and Jewish and Israeli students together. Let's form groups to create communication. That's how you solve this kind of problem. And none of that stuff has been done. It's not that hard.